Hey, everybody, this is Liz from Augusta. And sometimes we meet people and we know them, but we never know the story about what made them who they are. And today I have two very special people who I've come to care about very much over the last several years. And I would like them to introduce themselves, tell a little bit about their upbringing and what brought them together, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Hey, I'm Bryan Connor. This is my wife, my better half, Amber Connor.
Hey.
You want to start with?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Beaufort, South Carolina, and my parents and my brother and his wife still live there. I went to college at USC, which is kind of what brought me to the Columbia, Augusta area. I have a background in marketing and advertising, and I had full intentions of never staying in Augusta, this being more of a pit stop, and living in a bigger city, working for a big advertising firm. And then I met my husband, and then we started dating, and well, here we are almost 11 years later. So clearly I never left Augusta. I'm still here,
Yes.
but it was the best decision ever. And now I own a bakery. And so it's called Sinless Sweets, and we are a healthy bakery. So we take all of your favorite breakfast and dessert items, and we make the healthy version of them.
Yummy.
And so, so between that and being a mom, we've got two little ones, a 4-year-old and a 19-month-old. So they will be
Wow.
5 and 2 this year. So we're busy.
Yeah,
A
no
little
kidding.
busy. Yeah.
And Bryan?
So Amber, said that we met, but I think the story really needs to be we met in a bar, and
I sold him advertising.
it was my bar. So it's the one time in my life that shiny object syndrome really paid off for me.
Yes.
Otherwise, I had been known to get distracted. But that was one of my biggest failures, and also got a great bit of silver lining with that one. So I was let's see here. So I started. I'm born and raised in Augusta, Georgia, and went to high school here. Went to Augusta State, and I had absolutely no intentions of mowing grass because I did it since I was 12 years old.
Mhm.
And I just figured it was, better than the $5 an hour minimum wage at the time. But we'll kind of go back and forth a little bit. But whenever this was 2012,
Yes.
yep, I found myself in a hole in what do they call them? Dive bar. I was in a dive bar
Yes.
because I was 25, and what 25-year-old doesn't want to own a bar? So I had bought that, and I was actually I had slept there that night because I was working, and I see this beautiful woman in a green dress pull up in the front parking lot. I was like, she must be lost. So I go in the back, splash some water on my face, change my shirt, and open the door. And it's my wife. It's probably like noon or 2:00, and she's trying to sell me advertising. And the bar was failing. Didn't have any money for advertising. And I want to say the package was like $2,000, $3,000 or something.
Wow.
And
Yep.
I was like, yeah, I'll buy it.
My word.
So what was it, like a $2,000 package, $3,000? I don't know.
Oh yeah, it was crazy.
Something.
My most expensive package.
Yeah. we ended up. She had to come back, and we ended up talking for like an hour, just sitting there, and we had an immediate connection. So that was the silver lining in how we met, because we were inseparable after that. So
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. So did you both have siblings?
Yes. So I have a brother. He is 4 years younger, and then he has a sister who's 4 years younger.
Oh, wow. Okay, excellent. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so we're all close in age. So I'm 36, and then Bryan, oh no, I'm 36. I wish I was 36. I'm getting ready to be 38. Bryan's 36. My brother is 34, and then his sister is 32. So we're all kind of like 2 years apart.
Okay. And just share with our listeners what the area is like where you live. It's the deep South, we would say, from here. And we're having people watch from all over the place. So tell us a little bit about what the families are like, what the food is like, what the living circumstances are like, the cost of living, just a little bit about your area.
Yeah. So Here in Augusta, you could call it the Deep South. It may have some undertones, but it's a city of about, it's consolidated about 600, 700,000 people. And we live in Evans in the suburbs outside of Augusta. So we've got decent as far as like medical. We've got Fort Gordon here, so there's a lot of military, and there's big university or big hospitals here. There's a nuclear power plant, so there's a lot of industry here. And so here in Augusta, it's definitely the South, and you get to see all that. But there's a lot of different people here too. As far as just from all over the country. So, but the food is typical Southern food. But here in Evans, we've got everything that you would think of as far as like good any other cookie cutter city. But traditionally, fried chicken, of course, watermelon.
So yes, yeah,
that's real.
Yeah. Well, so for me, it's a little bit different. So I'm from the coast because I'm from Beaufort. So I grew up at the beach. And so we grew up on a lot of local seafood that they would catch right there at the dock. And so we have a lot back home, a lot of fresh local seafood places, which are absolutely, amazing. So for us, a tradition growing up was what we call the Low Country broil. And it consists of sausage, corn, potatoes, and shrimp. And so you boil it all day. And then we actually have big festivals. We have a festival called the Water Festival back home.
Oh, wow.
And they literally have a whole day dedicated to the Low Country boil. So it's kind of cool. So it feels a little different there. Yeah.
I would say probably around here, barbecue.
Barbecue is huge here. Yeah. A lot of barbecue.
Okay.
Much more than you. It's like, I think a typical South, like, fried chicken, but there's not a whole lot of that here.
No, more barbecue.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds great. And what about the cost of living and the housing, and also a little bit about the people in general? You know how some people, depending on where you live, they're very family oriented. The families, say some East Indian friends that I have in Canada, a lot of them actually live in gigantic houses, and then the families live in different areas of the houses. So in the area where you live, are families pretty close? Do they live, a lot of them, in the same towns and are kind of tight knit? Or is it just average? People are by themselves on their little islands, like people in big cities.
Yeah, I would say here it's pretty average. You've got people that, everybody's different. Some people's family are from here and they've got big families. They've got property here, and everybody gets together. But a lot of people are also what they call transients, just because of the military base.
Okay.
And a lot of people do leave Augusta. Mm-hmm. So I would say it's pretty average. Not a whole lot of people living real close together. I do have some friends I went to high school with that they've got family land, and they'd have about 6 houses on 20 or 30 acres, but that's pretty rare.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's pretty rare.
Okay, all those questions play into what we've got going forward, and they really help in people understanding a little bit how you live, because we have people that listen from other countries, and it is so different everywhere. And the people that I know from the South, Louisiana, and they're kind, fun, open. Their families are close, and it's just quite different when you get into Vancouver, up here in Vancouver, Canada, and other places here where they've traveled from all over the world and are just a hodgepodge of people, and with all these different diversities. So how did you first hear about Augusta? Actually, I want to back up just a little bit. I would like to ask Bryan's opinion on what do you think the difference is between an entrepreneur and an intrapreneur or an operator?
Yeah, so I think an entrepreneur it's one of the biggest strengths and weaknesses. I've got to learn how to hone it. Is they are wanting to build constantly, and once they get something built, even if it's kind of propped up, not fully built, they want to go build something else. At least I guess that's a tendency, and I definitely experienced it throughout my life. But once especially seeing somebody like Mike, who also had some of those same tendencies, but harness it and say, okay, no, once you build it, you just got to keep building it that bigger and focus on that. I think, be constantly building and wanting to challenge yourself and do new things, as opposed to an entrepreneur or an operator that really likes the stability and the control aspect of getting it to a point, harnessing that power and being able to use it for, profit is what a business is, supposed to be for.
So you've had several different business ventures, and you just said you owned a bar when you were 25, but that's not the only thing you've done. So can you take us a little bit on the path from the first big, hairy, audacious goal idea that you had, and then kind of show us over time up to the time where you first met us?
Yeah. So when I was younger, I had mowed lawns. I loved it. It was, kind of my own schedule, get to meet people, get to, make your own money. And that was awesome. And when I was in high school, I didn't even realize it because I didn't know any entrepreneurs. My family, had always worked a 9 to 5. I didn't know anybody that had ever owned a business. And so, but even in high school, I was looking at like the Dippin' Dots franchise when that came out. I remember them in malls and stuff. I can still remember it was $10,000. That was the craziest. Like, I was like, I got to get $10,000
For Dippin' Dots.
I wanted to be the person because they started in the malls, the little kiosks.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, $10,000. I'm going to do that. And I wanted to do that in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And then Subway. That was when the Subway franchise was only 30,000 or 50,000 or something like that. And but I still didn't. I did not understand that's where my tendencies lied. I was like, okay, because I still came from the generations like you're going to go to college, you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer, and that's how you're going to succeed. And so I was like, all right, I was good at school, and that's what I did. I went to ASU, graduated, didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew that's all I knew is I didn't know what I wanted to do. So made a very illogical move, but a lot of people do it. They're like, well, I'll go to grad school. And I was like, I think being a lawyer would be pretty easy. So I was like, seems like easy life. Go to court, argue your case. And I took the practice LSAT without studying. And I was like, well, I can already get in somewhere.
Wow.
And but then I studied, got good enough to get a scholarship at USC. And I went off. And then I got in there and saw what everybody else was doing. I was like, man, this is not for me. And so I quit, sold my house there, moved back here. And I was flipping through an Iwanta. I know that's probably a term that you probably don't know what that is. So think Craigslist back when it was in paper form and local. So I was flipping through the classifieds and just reading it cover to cover. And I saw this lawn care business, and I had always done lawn care throughout middle school, high school, and college. I was like, all right, yeah, let's do that. It was $40,000. It's called Fine Lines Landscaping. Bought it from a guy that was an owner operator. And I knew absolutely nothing about business except for being able to sell and work really hard. Those are the two things I knew. And didn't know anything about pricing, didn't know anything about structure, about leadership, nothing. And so I got into it, took his $6,000 a month business and made it a $12,000 a month business in 3 months.
Awesome.
Based upon shooting from the hip. Like, yeah, that yard's $50. That yard's this. Of course, I'll get on your roof, Mr. Jones. You need to, carry your sofa inside. Yeah. And so I did that, and I realized I was at break even. I hired all my friends, and then there's this bar for sale. I was like, well, I'll buy that because it's operating. The guy was operating with his wife. He was a retired chemical engineer in their 70s. And so I went a couple times. I was pretty good with numbers. So I read through his very unorganized financials and came up. I was like, hey, man, I think I'll be break even with the rent, with the business payment. And I said, I can't be break even. I was like, I don't want to operate this thing. I was like, I'm operating a lawn care company.
Right.
And he said, well, I don't know if you know about the restaurant industry. So there's a lot of cash that doesn't get reported. And I was already emotionally invested. I wanted the bar. I said, if you can tell me and shake my hand that there's going to be $4,000 a month after this, I was like, that'll cover my expenses of my personal bills. I was like, I'll shake your hand and give you the money right now. So
wow.
Gave him the money. Month came in. I looked at my financials. I said, oh, it's break even. And so I had to immediately go from, my lawn care business, which, was propped up by me, my personality, my work ethic.
Exactly.
and it immediately failed. So I had to fire the which was my ex-girlfriend, and she was the
Bartender.
head bartender. And she was running
Oh,
it.
wow.
And so Amber was happy about that.
Yes.
I don't think we had met yet.
Oh, we hadn't met yet.
We hadn't met yet. I didn't, because I
That's
never
right.
met the ex-girlfriend.
Okay. But anyways, I had to fire her. I had to be the bartender, which I'd never bartended before in my life. So I'm sitting there,
Wow.
looking up drinks while I'm making them.
We had an app. Remember that?
We had an app.
I love it.
I had to be the cook, the receiver, and the janitor, and the bouncer. And
Wow.
within 3 months, that lawn care business went from $14,000 to $3,000 a month, and had to fire all my friends because there was no work. And I was working 90-hour weeks at the bar. There were days I'd get there at 10 a.m. and leave at 4 o'clock the next day.
Oh my
Because
goodness.
I had a cot living there. And so that was miserable. Met this beautiful woman.
I was going to say, that's when we met. I think you had it for
yeah.
a couple months.
Yeah. I had
And
it for
everything was sunshine and roses.
Absolutely. Except for the fact that
that we had a bar.
we had a
there.
bar, and
Yeah.
then and then because you didn't have any employees then, right?
That was me.
It was just him, and then I started working with them. So then we worked together. So I had a 9-to-5 job in medical sales at the time, and then I would get off my job at 5 and then go work till 1 and 2 in the morning on Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays at the bar.
Karaoke, live band, and then karaoke again.
And then it was like a team effort. So it was just him and I. And we had just started dating. So talk about like a test on a relationship, right? Like
Yeah,
you can make it or you're not gonna make it. But we worked together really well. And I think that the bar was really we had a lot of fun. And I think the bar was really the first time that we were like, man, we make a really good team. Yeah. So that was kind of this jumping off point of our relationship.
Yeah. And so it was that was I quit law school. I moved back here. That was like, I moved back here November, December 2011, bought the lawn care business February 2012, bought the bar July 2012, and then met Amber in August. And then we started dating you could really call it dating by September. Yeah. But officially dating in October, November. And I proposed that we ran it that all 2012. And then 2013, I proposed in July. Yeah. Proposed in July. And then that got me thinking, I was like, all right, this is not the life that I can enter now. It's completely different. I was single. I had a 5-year contract on the bar to purchase it for $250,000. And so, hey, buddy, you want to say hey, Augusta Nation?
You say hey? Come here.
Hey, buddy.
Say hi.
I am Augusta Nation.
That's very true. She's the heart.
That's my name.
But yeah, so I immediately changed focus of like, all right, this is not going to work. If it was me, I would have ran the contract out and at least been able to do something with it.
Right.
But I wasn't going to do that, as we got married. So I was thinking, like, what are my options? And I was like, well, I'm in good shape. I'm young enough and I've got a degree. I was like, I'll go to the military. And so I went to the recruiter's office. And I said, all right, what do I got to do? And I had to wait about a year to get in. And so I was training. In my head, I was like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. And we were going to get married in October 2014.
Yeah, and we're going to ship off in December, I think.
And I was going to leave in December.
Oh, wow.
So I called up the guy that owned the bar. I said, hey, we got to figure something out. I was like, if you include the real estate and take off the rent payment, which was like $2,500, I was like, I'll fulfill the contract and I'll run it out. I said, or, I want out of the contract. I said I'd renovated the bar, put tens of $1,000s in it, and it was running better than when he had it. And I said, I was like, January 1st, I'll give you the keys to it just the way it is, and you let me out of the contract. And so he did that. And so January 2014, I started with 12 clients, $2,000 a month by myself, and I had it in my head that I was going to the military. So again, just like when I was in college, this business was not going to be my future at all. I was like, okay. And then my buddy, CJ, a really good friend of mine. He got jammed up early on. He went to prison. He got out. And so we were working together, and the business was doing pretty well. And something just pulled on my heart. It was like, you know what? You don't need to go to the military and enter this relationship. And so I said, well, I'm going to grow it. And all along the way from 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, and even into 19, I hated it. I wanted to sell it. Every year I tried selling it. So even then I wasn't committed. And then she had just got done with a show, bikini competition, whenever I had met her. And I had done bodybuilding all my life. I wasn't in the best of shape when we met, but meeting with her, doing things, going running, working out, I was like, all right, I'm going to do a show with you. And so I got back into good shape. And then, you know, we kept doing that together. And then we eventually, through doing that for years, we, had always had people, hey man, can you do my diet? Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? And so we decided to take our passion and form a business called Natural Truth Nutrition. So if you want to talk on that for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, so then, you know, you still kind of had the landscaping on the side that you were running, but he wasn't into it. He wasn't passionate about it. I mean, he was pretty much working, at that time by yourself. Like he would go out at probably 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. He wouldn't get home until 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And he was worn out and he was tired. And I think anybody in that situation, especially when you're kind of in your head and you don't really know what you want to do, what direction you want to go, that's a miserable life to live, you know, as far as in your business. And so we wanted to pursue something we were passionate about, which, like he said, we started up Natural Truth Nutrition. I was the head personal trainer in the gym at the time. And so I had a bunch of clients. I was kind of already living that lifestyle. So this was going to be a better fit. So we thought, okay, well, let's start a competition team. Let's start meal prepping. Let's do meal plans, and we can make this a business. And we did.
Yeah.
How long did we have Natural Truth Nutrition?
I think we started in 17, 18, and we ended it in 19.
Yeah. So we had it for 2 years. So for 2 years, we built it. We had clients, we had a competition team, we had a lifestyle. We had lifestyle clients. During that time, I got pregnant with Caden, and then, you know, was still doing it, was still working out, still competing. And then I think it was in 2019, we pitched our idea to the gym I was working at. And honestly, had this idea worked out, it was for some software that Bryan was working on. And had this idea worked out, I honestly think that would have still been the route that we would have gone. But it didn't. We had some obstacles that kind of came our way. And so we decided that wasn't the route we were going to go. And so I think, again, he was kind of back in the boat of, okay, what am I going to do? And was that when you found?
Hey, Jack.
Hi, Jack. was that when you found? You went to that conference?
That was in 2019.
Yeah. So is that shortly after that?
But we can back. I want to back up just a hair because this interview would be a miss. Because all along the way after the military, I was trying to grow it, you know, sales and all that. And so it wasn't like it was a back burner. It was my full-time job, and I was doing Natural Truth just on the weekends and at nights. So,
Got it.
You know, we were growing, and then 2017, the summer in July, I met Jeremy Owens, who's now my partner and a really, really good friend of mine. And so 2017, I found hope. It was my first flicker of hope in anybody, in any employee.
I love it.
And so, because I was if I didn't meet him, I was gonna sell it just for assets at the end of the year. I was done. You know, people, you know, no call, no show. I'm out there working. People out smoking blunts on the truck. I didn't even know about it at that time.
Yep.
And so I was done pouring into people that, in my opinion, I just didn't have any luck with. So I found one person, one flicker of hope. And that flicker of hope was inside. There's nothing I can do to bring that flicker out. It's got to be in that person. It was in Jeremy. And so met him, had hope, but still, you know, he was out of high school. He was going to go to college. It wasn't like he was like, hey man, I want to make this a business that we're going to do together at that time. And so I still had it for sale. You know, 2018, I think 2017 is the first year. I think we did think 100. No, I think we did 200,000, 199 or something like that.
Okay. And how many people were on your team?
Yeah. So it was me, Jeremy, and then we had, I want to say 2 or 3 other people. So way too many people for the revenue that thing was bringing in. It's just that it was inefficient labor because they'd go out and before Jeremy came in and not work, basically, do whatever they could to not work. And so there also was a distraction even inside of the lawn care business. It was spraying, because I had a spray rig and I would do weed control and fertilization treatments. So I was not focused on the lawn care, the one thing.
Yes.
I was out there spraying, and so we did that. And we did build Natural Truth. She stepped on many national stages. I don't know if you heard of the Arnold Sports Festival. She stepped on that a couple times. We were, doing what we could to become professionals in the sport to give validity to our company. So we were in it, and we lived the life. We had developed or used some software that integrated really well that we could manipulate people's programs. They could track their diet. They could track their exercise and see progressions. And I had built this business plan, to integrate with our local gym. Our local gym is a big gym. It's a 15,000 member gym. Wow. And so, and she was at their training, in the training program. And so I had built it to enhance the training program, which was already, that one was doing like a little over $100,000 a month by itself.
Wow.
And so what is going to be an add-on service, because, you can train all day. If you're not doing the proper nutrition and being held accountable, you're not going to see the results. So I built it in mind to add value to the training program in the gym.
Right.
So,
adding services.
Yeah. And it's going to put money in the trainer's pockets. It's going to put money in the training manager's pocket and in the gym's pocket. And it was going to be awesome. And so I talked to the owner of the gym, got the handshake and the go ahead. And at that time, the manager of the program had switched hands. It wasn't one of my good friends. And that was going to be an easy, implementation. Just say, hey, all right, Warren, we're good. We're doing this.
Right.
Well, when it changed hands and the owner's like, yeah, just go meet with them, set up the meeting. I immediately knew when I met the guy that he didn't want anything to do with me.
Oh, wow.
Felt intimidated by whatever, or like thought I was going to
take money out of his pocket.
Yeah. I was like, no, I'm trying to. And I was like, it doesn't cost you any money. It doesn't cost you any time. You're going to have better trainers. You're going to have better looking clients. Like, you're going to look great.
Yes.
All you got to do is just take the money. And he just, ego type deal. And finally, but he wasn't straightforward with me. And I'm very persistent. And so finally I had to have a meeting. I was like, look, man, I'm trying to be as accommodating as I can. What is it? This guy just don't want to do it. It's like, okay. And that was God's path. Like, I'm very hard-headed, and every time I tried to sell the business for whatever reason, it wouldn't even sell for peanuts. And God's hand on me and us, and saying, "Hey, no, this is the path I've got for you. It's hard. It's gonna pay off." And that's when I was at my wit's end. 2019, I had just gotten told, no. I finally accepted no.
Yeah.
And I could have went. I knew the guy at the competing gym, the Gold's Gym franchise. And I knew he would have definitely implemented it. We had talks. And for whatever reason, I guess at the same time, I was just found my candies.
Yeah.
And on YouTube. And so for whatever reason, the Lawn Care Millionaire.
Let me stop you there, though. Up until that time, you resented having to do the mowing of the lawns and all this work. And was it because you had an education, which has really helped you in the end, I believe? And you thought you were too good for it, or why, like a resentment of why am I stuck doing these lawns and doing this, labor that doesn't even feel like a real business?
It wasn't the work, and I never felt beneath the work. My body was not allowing me to do it as well as I hurt, like I had symptoms of carpal tunnel, and I was burnout. 100% burnout. And like, I would get to a point and then have to get back in the field, get to a point, get back in the field. And so
Kind of discouraging,
Very-
really. Yeah.
For
yeah,
sure.
it wasn't like I ever felt beneath it. I just felt like I was failing.
Got
And
it.
every time I had to get back on a truck, it reminded me of that failure.
Yeah.
Because if I grew the business to a point, which was the goal, like I would not need to, if I was ever on a truck, I'd be doing the business a disservice.
Right. So you had a vision, a higher vision, and it was like you were trying to move toward it unemotionally, and you kept falling back from the higher vision, which was to build this thing and keep it going. And yet felt like you were backtracking.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I
Always,
was
constantly.
always backtrack.
Yeah.
Always. As soon as I'd get up, it would, come crashing down.
Okay, so you have Jeremy, and you haven't had the big talk with him yet, have you? Where you guys decided to go for it together before you heard of Mike, or how was that?
No. So along the way, Jeremy had, I guess, so 2017, 2018. I want to say it was 2018. He came to me and kind of peak season, and he's like, "Hey man, I think I'm gonna, I need to go full-time school. I don't think I can work here." And this
Crushing.
Yeah, crushing. And
I was crushed. I was like, I got to get back on that truck.
yeah, she would weed eat and backpack spray and pine straw. It was crushing, but I was like, you know what? I said, I've always been very. That was one thing I love about being a business leader. Even when I was, just a guy out in the truck, I was trying to speak into these men that what are your goals? What are you going to do? And I just saw potential in every single person. And so I was very supportive of that. I was like, that's great, man. I was like, and Jeremy was, on his own.
Mm-hmm.
He needed to pay bills and stuff like that. And he thought that he wasn't going to be of value to me if he had to do his school. I was like, what's your school schedule? I was like, let's see if we can work something out.
Yeah.
And I was like, you need a certain amount of money. And I said, you know how to do the schedule. You know you're great at whatever you do. I said, we can do like a kind of a hybrid. You run the schedule type deal. You run the payroll of the hours and stuff. Keep track of the hours, and I'll work around your schedule. And so he ended up doing that, and then ended up after 2019 deciding he loved lawn care. He just does, and I know, right? Crazy. I don't get it, but he absolutely loves lawn. He really likes it, and so he decided that, and he was going to be, telling about the plants here, the nuclear power plants.
Mm-hmm.
I met a guy yesterday, he actually lives right down the road, did an estimate for him. And he graduated in university in California to be an operator at our nuclear power plant. So he just moved from California, and that's the place Jeremy was going to work. And it's great pay. I mean, 2-year degree, start out at like $60,000 a year.
Wow.
That's what his track was, to be a chemical operator. And so he just decided, it's like, and plus, I mean, I was always talking about the vision, from day one. I was like, hey man, this thing, I was like, my vision, it was decently good size. I wanted to build a $10 million full service landscaping company in this area. And so you see other landscapers, like, all right, they got this division. So I was going to be in irrigation, construction, treatment, maintenance. And I was like, and I even had I think I still got the sketch somewhere, but here's the hierarchy, and here's where you can land in this hierarchy, Jeremy, and you let them know about the salary and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so at $10 million, really, there's only myself and Jeremy that I believe are really high level careers. The other is middle management. And so, so he bought into that part of the vision. And that's when in 2019, when I gotten, denied about the gym, I've been working really hard of how to improve this business, the lawn care business. And my focus on just me as a competitor, that's the last time I stepped on stage. And I look at pictures here and there. I'm like, yeah, man, I shouldn't have stepped on stage. My focus had lacked there. I was 10 pounds above my last stage weight, and not in a good way. And so I was like, my focus from the gym was weaning, and my focus on the business was increasing.
Yeah.
And so that was October 2019 when I had found Mike, because everybody else that I had found, I had contact. It's called Green Industry Consultants. I don't know if they're still around.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. It was a big, you know, it was a pretty big consulting company, but it didn't seem like a right fit. We weren't the right size. We didn't have the right money. I was going to take out a loan, you know, to just find answers.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and in the Lawn Care Millionaire, those videos, although there's some good stuff in there, just to me, in 2019 felt super outdated.
Mm-hmm.
Felt it wasn't fresh, and it's not
Right.
like Jonathan was, you know, live anymore.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really attach to that.
Mm-hmm.
Stanley, the dirt monkey, I didn't want to be in the field. I was like, I don't want to hear what you got to say about
Yeah.
all these techniques. And
Yeah.
the influencers that are, you know, were popular, I was like, I don't want to be you. And so for the first time, I found somebody that I wanted to be in my industry was Mike. I was like, that's who I want to be.
So what was it that attracted you? The fact that he was young, he had a business acumen, or was it that you could actually get some depth and something about the business that would run a business well, that you wouldn't have to be so discouraged or ashamed of it, or could actually go somewhere?
Yeah, it was the fact that he was talking business and doing whiteboards in a way that directly related to what I was doing.
Got it.
So like anyone else that was doing it or any information that I could find was talking about multi-billion-dollar companies.
Right.
And it just didn't, you know, I couldn't find anything that directly was like, okay, I can plug and play this and be successful. And that was it. Plus you can see the passion in his, you know, in his voice. You know, you could tell he was real and he was doing it. You know, like Jonathan, he's got great stuff. He's a great guy. He didn't go build that business.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
the lawn care business, and he'll tell you that. You know?
Yeah. So how was it that you and Jeremy ended up coming up to our conference?
Yeah. So it was October 2019 is when I first found Mike. And then when I find something, I just consume all the content.
Yep.
And I appreciate it, Liz, for telling me about you could increase the speed of things, because that was awesome. That really helps out. It helps you consume it a lot faster, at least 2 times faster.
It's glorious.
It is. But now when I'm in conversation with people, I'm like, can you speak a little bit faster? The pace seems off.
Try to go to church and listen to somebody who's being very calm and laying something out, and you want to just go, I need to speed this up.
See, and our pastor, the church we go to, he's fast. He's energetic, and he talks real fast. You know,
that's helpful.
Oh yeah,
that's helpful.
It was October, and I consumed it, and I was in the mindset, but so was Mike at the time. He was trying to help people, other businesses do what he was talking about.
Right.
And so it was kind of in that frame. I said, all right, well, he was talking about Excel spreadsheets. And I was like, well, I'll build the Excel spreadsheet, because I knew immediately when I heard pay for performance, it was like the Red Sea parted. And I was like, all right, this is it.
So you got it.
Yeah. I was like, all right, I'm going to check it out. And I was like, I really think we need to implement pay for performance, because my labor spend was at 55%. And that was the reason why we were, not able to profit, for sure. Inefficient labor. And so I told Jeremy, I said, hey man, I was like, this guy I'm listening to, I was like, I really think he's going to be able to help us out. I was like, would you want to go on this conference? It's a free trip. And I think that's probably just, he's like, yeah, man, let's do that. I'll go to Washington. I've never been. And so we went with the intention to just get P4P. That's the only thing that I needed to hear it, be there. And that's really the only reason we went, was just to hear more about pay for performance. And so, and I might've been probably the only person in the crowd, I think, that he was trying to reach, so that actually did implement pay for performance. And so he even says it now. He's like, yeah, nobody's doing this. He's like, it's out there. It's, he said, but only people are doing it are people from Augusta. So
yeah, it was the beginning of a great thing, really.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So I should share about when I met you the first time. So I saw these 2 young guys in bright orange sweatshirts and t-shirts sitting up front, and you guys stick out like sore thumbs. So you were hard to miss. And so then you had come and talked to me after, and you had specifically talked about each of your roles And then I remember talking to you about dividing your roles and then just going for it so you don't bump into each other. And then you talked about being there for P4P. Well, we had just started the franchise, I believe. And I think I was trying to get you to come to the dinner to talk about the franchise. Was that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah,
the one dinner I wish I never missed.
Yeah. And you were pretty set, like, this is what our plan is. This is why we came here. I just want to know about P4P. We're using Service Autopilot, so we talked a few things about that, and then you went on your way. Afterwards, I couldn't get you guys off my mind, and I kept telling Mike, those two young guys that were there was something special about them. And I said, they're from Augusta, and who better than to have a real good representation of Augusta? And I said, they're high quality people. They're doing this together, and I think we need them in the franchise. And so he would say, well, go for it, and I would email Jeremy. Any email I had, I would try to reach out and, and so he told me, he's like, if you can get those guys to join, he said, I'll help you pay for your truck. And I'm like, well, that doesn't matter. I've got to get those guys anyway. So long story short, tell me how you came to the place where you actually thought it would benefit you to join Augusta.
Yeah, I think a lot of the reasons as far as like why we didn't go to the dinner is because we didn't have any money. And I knew, it was, I don't know if he was advertising 15 or 10. It wouldn't matter if it was 5.
Right.
I knew I didn't have any money, and I knew I had to fix my business. And so, I'm not much of I look at Facebook Marketplace, but I'm not much of a window shopper. If I can't afford something, I'm just like,
Got it. Mm-hmm.
That was the reason. I came to the place, P4P worked. We came home, we implemented it. It was how we paid people in February.
How did they react? How did your team react to that?
Well, they didn't. The team I had was not quality. They weren't in a good stage of their life to even listen to anything good.
Okay.
So they were already making more money, with base pay, and they knew they couldn't make less. We did a vote, but I honestly don't think they understood it.
Yeah, probably.
And so we implemented it. We made changes, and then within a couple of months, everybody that was there was gone. So, it was one of those things where we had to get rid of those people regardless, just because they wouldn't have helped us to move forward. But the ones that, like Matthew, he was there and he got it immediately. But he's such a hard worker that I think it doubled his pay immediately.
Wow.
So he was pretty stoked about it for sure.
So it didn't change your belief in P4P and that it worked when your employees were fired or left. You knew it was going to be the way.
Yeah, I knew it was the only way because I was on the losing end of labor, and I knew I couldn't because that year I came, we had done in 2019, the year prior, we had done 400,000 and we lost 9,000. And,
wow.
I looked at the numbers and it was my labor. My labor was 55%. And Mike was talking, about, hey, we're doing 33% labor spend. And he was, always saying like, you don't really want to be above 40. If you are, you're going to get in danger. And I was 15 points above 40.
Wow.
So I knew there was no way for me to go from 400 to anything. I couldn't even do 400 the way I was doing it before. Never mind wanting to grow by 300,000. If I would have grown by 300,000 without P4P, the deficit, it would have been more than double, I'm sure. Far as I would have lost more money. And so I just knew, I believed in it, but I also knew it was the only way that I was going to grow my business. So
were you in quite a bit of debt still when you thought we should do this?
Yeah, it was September. And so P4P was working pretty well. It looked like it was going to be a great year, a breakout year for us as far as growth goes. And it was weird. I didn't have any plans of joining the franchise. I didn't have the money. I said, but I just wanted to talk to Mike.
Yeah.
And just had some questions about it. And I figured, hey, it was a good shot. It's a free shot to talk to Mike. And so I went on the call, asked questions. And because I was like, I had this big vision. I was like, well, maybe we'll have more locations. And I didn't even know if that was a possibility with what Mike's vision was. I said, hey, if I want to grow more locations and I don't want to operate them, after we get growing. He's like, yeah, that'd be great. He's like, that's awesome. I was like, okay. And answered all the questions. And then I think he asked me what was holding me back. And I said, well, I have $120,000 in debt. I can't afford the franchise fee.
Yeah.
And so, well, what if I told you that you don't have to pay me back until the debt's paid off? And I said, I'll sign up tomorrow.
Wow.
But I was like, yeah, that's amazing. I was like, that's a very generous offer there. And he was true to his word. It was 18 months later. I sent him a check with some treats and the sweet treats in the box. And that's how it went.
So it was a huge gamble for you, though, being in debt and to start this whole transition, because you had a brand, you had a business, and you had grown it substantially, and now you had to do a brand transition. How was that for you? Because other people in your shoes would wonder that same thing. So was that a huge deal for you?
I think I was pretty self-aware in that, I had a white truck with a squirrel on it and some colors, but I knew I was nobody. Like I always my vision of getting to $10 million and me being at, even at, 700,000, I was like, can you hear me?
I can. Yeah.
Okay, good. I was making sure. I knew I was so far away and that I was a peon. Like nobody knew who Fine Lines was. And so it was easy for me. Plus the name of Augusta, me being in the town.
Yes.
But I had no, I still like Augusta. I'm getting some, I don't know. It's weird. I love Augusta. I love the people. But if Mike said, "Hey man, we're switching to purple and green and the dog's out tomorrow," I'd be like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." Like I don't care what the brand is. I care what it represents.
Okay.
And I knew. So a lot of people have I talked to a lot of people that call prospective. They have businesses thinking about Augusta. And there's this pride in, they call it the pride in ownership, but really it's their ego. It's their ego. It's not pride. Like pride's a weird word. It means different things and different in biblical, it's, supposed to be proud, but then you got the pride of like, well, I have confidence and I appreciate things, but like actual pride is actually bad.
Yeah.
So, but I had no ego about Fine Lines or anything like that.
Okay,
like, let's do it.
So how did you motivate your team? You have this debt, you're in P4P, you need to get the debt down because you need to pay Mike, and you have other visions too of growing. And so how did you present it to your team to get this debt paid down so that they could kind of feel the weight of it as well?
Yeah. I loved it. I loved open book management because I was always open. I just didn't do it in an organized fashion so that they could see it and understand it. But I was very open. I'd show my bank statement or whatever. I was very open that we were losing, but don't worry, we're gonna do this. But Mike said, hey, you should get a debt board, put it on the wall, and so I did that. And every month I would, I would scribble the debt board of where we're at, and I told him, I said, once this debt's paid off, we will do profit sharing, because Mike also talked about profit sharing, and he told me, he said, you need to wait till you're out of debt to do it. That's okay. And so, we talk about it. We talk about profit sharing. It was a long talk, a lot of a length between talking about it and it actually happening.
Yeah.
But I can't say enough about the team that believed in it. The ones that did, they believed in something before they could see it or touch it, and that's huge.
Yeah.
They had faith.
So you've been with Augusta now for how long?
This will be 3 full years. So it's on my 3rd year.
Okay.
And we started officially in January of 2021.
Okay. So you've been through some full seasons now.
Yeah, 2 full seasons.
Now, in that amount of time, did you simplify services, and did you think that was important?
Yeah. So at the beginning, I've always listened. Like, I knew Mike was where I wanted to go, and I've had coaches before in other aspects, and so I know the coaching role only works as well as you're willing to listen. And so, but before, I was an existing company, and so I wanted to have a full service landscaping company with all these divisions.
Right.
So there was little parts of that already. I started with that.
Right.
Because I had the treatment truck. we were doing landscapes. So no, we had treatments that and you can make that simple. If I was just doing
Yes.
treatments, but
Yes.
if you mix it in with, lawn care, or lawn maintenance, it's not, it bugs it up. So, and then, landscape installs by themselves, you can simplify that too.
Right.
When it's all going together and it's
Yeah.
all pulling from resources from a company that is not yet fully established, it makes it very hard. So, 2021, we had the treatment division. I had hired a treatment manager, so that's overhead there.
Yep.
Marketing spend is going in different directions, and so we had Jesse was our first treatment manager, and then we even had hired somebody from another company that did installs. Could do French drains, full sod installs, retaining walls, you name it, he could do it. And so we kind of created a position for him where we told him, we said, hey, you run these things. He's doing it on P4P. They're like, if you show us that you can do this, I was like, we'll create a division, and you can be over this division and get profit sharing out of it. And thank God, about 4 months in, we had to end up terminating him. So that ended, and we didn't have a huge backlog. We had a couple projects that kind of tested us. That was built for his skill set. So when he left, it was only 4 months in, 3 months in maybe. We're like, all right, we're not doing that anymore. But we still did some sod installs that year, 2021, 2022, last year, right before the spray season started. Our treatment manager said, hey, I got a job offer. And we're like, oh, it's an awesome job offer for him. It helped his family out. We were happy for him. And so I immediately had to make a decision. Otherwise, I'd be out there treating. There treating. So it forced us into simplifying.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is a godsend. Because otherwise I'd be buggering it up, and I would end up losing money last year.
Yes. So that position that you were in is a place that business owners come to, and they either are going to fail by continuing to scale it, or they're going to succeed by simplifying it. It's a very hard decision, but once you've made the decision to simplify, I've never heard of anybody to say that it was the wrong decision. Yeah. So how has it been? You eliminated the big projects. You eliminated the treatment division. What services do you offer now?
We mow grass. We will weed your beds. We will trim your bushes, lay mulch, which is bark chips in y'all's neck of the woods, and pine straw and rock beds. And then we had simplified to that. And then Jeremy was like, well, a lot of our customers want a bed border. And I was like, well, we'll try it out. So Jeremy this year went out and did aluminum edging and just the block, like the y'all's blocks that y'all use. And did that with 2 people that had never done it. And it was actually, they enjoyed it. It's very simple. It's very standardized, and it goes with our mulch, because a lot of people don't want mulch installed unless they can keep it in. Yes, definitely. And so, but that's the only services we offer. I love it. That's a beautiful thing. So tell us a little bit about the numbers, and first of all, you and Jeremy, your relationship now business-wise, what you're doing, and then kind of what your numbers are at the first location. Yeah. So way back, whenever he first came on, I was trying to get him to attach to the vision. And I was like, hey, man, I will make you 10%. And then I think even when he was about to leave, I wrote up a little contract. And I said, hey, if you agree to stay for these 2 years, I will give you 10% of the business. And then at the end of 2 years, if you decide to leave, we'll sell it. You get 10% of whatever it's worth. Wow. Or if you stay. And so, I'd always told him I'm going to make him, I'm going to give him 10% equity. There was never anything in writing or anything like that, except for like a little note, which would have sufficed as a contract if he had it. And so last July, on his 5th year anniversary, I had a contract written up by our attorney, and then I took him to Asheville, and we celebrated, and he was officially a 10% equity partner, not just in the Augusta location, but in all the locations that we will ever open. So that was really a big step. And I think he's such a solid guy. He was bought in anyways, but I think this really really meant something to him, and I think he's even more bought in.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So what are your numbers? What were your numbers like, let's say last year?
Yeah, last year. And so this is going to be the last time I've tried to change. It's the last time I'm going to talk about top line revenue ever again. It's the last time. So anybody asks?
It's a momentous occasion.
Yeah. I'm done with the vanity number, but just for context.
Yes.
Last year we did 1.28 million.
Okay.
And that was without the treatment division, without big landscapes.
So how much did you grow it from the time you took those away?
Yeah. So we took those away in 2021. And so we had to replace the treatment division. In 2021, we did right at, it was 1.1? I forget, 1.05. It was somewhere around there, like 1 million. And so we lost the treatment division completely.
And what was the percentage of what the treatment division brought to the company?
It was 10%.
It was 10%. Okay.
Yeah, 10 or 15%. It was 150,000.
Yeah.
It was 15%. No, I'm sorry. We did 1.15. So it was exactly 10%.
Yeah.
We did 1.15 in 2021. 2022, we did 1.28. So we grew at top line only by 130, but we also replaced the 150. So really it was by 280. And then if you added those big, we only did, maybe $100,000 in big projects before.
Yeah.
So we still grew the business by almost 30%.
Yeah. So that's what I look at. To me, numbers are very unemotional. So it doesn't matter if you were starting at 0 this year. Just where did you get in that year? And what was the success of your team and team members you added, and having P for P? How many guys did you need? Oh, this year I needed less guys because we implemented P for P. And so the number is really irrelevant, except that it gives people courage to know that if they're here and they're this much in debt, how much did you say you were in debt?
120,000.
120,000. You can work with your team. You can pay off that debt. Then you can give them profit sharing. And then together with that team, what you can grow it to be. I think that part is what's inspiring. And those are the times when, like today, that you share that number. That's what gives people hope that they can be successful when they're small, and then they can get to bigger numbers. But it's all by just doing the systems unemotionally, just doing the right things to grow it. So at this point, you've made this decision to now have more companies, which is what you talked about way back when. Did you ever think this would really come to fruition?
Yeah. I mean, I believed in it before it was, before anyone else. Most people, if I would have told, and then maybe they did inside, they never to my face, but they're like, yeah, you're full of it. Like, that's never going to happen.
Yeah. But you knew you, and you knew, were you thinking, if I'm going to do this one thing, I'm going to go all the way on the one thing?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I've just, anything that I do, I'm going to give it my all. And, I'm assuming it was God-given. Otherwise it's a disease. But otherwise it's a mental illness. There's a reason for it.
But I've seen a transformation in you in that regard. And I think maybe it is because you've really honed it. So all these excess things you were doing or had a vision for. I remember one day Jeremy contacted me and he goes, he wants to put used cars outside our building.
I remember that.
He's like, you've got to talk to him.
Oh my God. I remember that.
And Mike was like, he's like a squirrel. He's like, he just wants to do all these things. And so now looking back at those conversations and things, it's like a transformation in you. It's like you're just a solid rock now. And I think it's now that you focused on the one thing. Is that what you would say it is?
Yeah, it's definitely focusing on the one thing, and kind of, being an entrepreneur, or having a vision, being able to, like, I didn't realize this, that being able to look into say, hey, I'm going to do this 20 years from now and actually mean it. Yeah. Not a lot of people think like that.
Right.
And it's probably a good thing. And it hurt me. It was good. It was good to have, for sure. I needed that to even put my feet forward to do something. But staying in that cloud or thinking about it, like wasted a lot of time and effort, and like,
Got it.
and also me being impatient with not being there yet.
Yeah.
Because I've got, the car dealership. Yeah, it's funny
Yeah.
that our mascot in Fine Lines was a squirrel, because I was a squirrel. If I saw an opportunity or whatever, I'll say, let's do it today. Let's whatever. And I'm not. My risk tolerance is very high, and
Yes.
Amber will tell you about that.
Me and Jeremy are very similar in that way. We gotta reel him back in sometime.
You got to try to plant his feet on the ground.
Just a little bit. It is one of the things I love about him. He's got these big dreams and goals and aspirations. And it's funny because we're so much alike, but we're very different in that fact. I'm like, let's get through today. Let's get through this week. Like a month is like the farthest like I think ahead. And so it's nice to balance each other out like that. I'm sure sometimes he probably gets, because we are so different that way. So I think for him, he is like, what's your 5-year plan? I'm like, I don't know what next week's plan is, much less a 5-year plan. But but I love it because he helps, me dream bigger and me set my goals higher, for my business, because he is that way.
Yes. Go ahead.
I got my whole team. One of these yellow books is inspired after the Dream Manager book. And it hit me. I don't know. I just loved it. I love being a part of any part of somebody's dream or, forward motion in their life. And I think it's important to put some stuff down. But I will say, this right here, I think it calmed me, because I was not where I wanted to be, and I knew where I wanted to go. And so it's got a 20-year list of, the projections and numbers, and I've got one somewhere else, but this was me putting it in here.
I love it.
But I will say that's nice. Maybe you should do that, but then you should take it and you should rip it up.
So you should write it once.
Write it once, rip it up, put it in God's hands, and say,
I can't believe you just did that.
I can't.
It's a recent transition. This Amber and I have. You can turn it off, buddy. It's the red button up top left with the circle and the dash. Yeah. You turn the TV on.
This button right here.
This one right here, the power button. You gotta be in front of the TV. There's been a recent transition, and me and Amber, we've been growing. We've been in our faith separately, but we've been growing together and doing some together small groups at our church centered around marriage and stuff. And there's this peace that's come across me because being having those visions and working those long hours and putting that pressure on myself. And then having a young family, I want to give my full self to anything that I'm doing. Yes. And so there was this pressure because, I would leave work. I finally gotten to a point the past couple of years where I had a much more normal schedule. Would you say?
Yeah, for sure. He was getting home like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. And then he's, now it's like a 5:36. Well, with 2 small kids, it's, it's hard because, they're in daycare all day. And then, we get him home, and then he's not getting home until, 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. He's only getting like 30 minutes with the kids before they go down for bed. And I think he realized that, missing out on a little bit.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But even in the past couple of years when that's gotten home better and spending the time, and I was spending the time with them, I don't think the kids would have noticed. I don't even think Amber really noticed. But there was this, I'd be home, not doing work on the weekends, not doing work, being at the zoo, playing. And like on the outward appearance, I was just fine. I think. Yeah. So she didn't notice, but in the inside, there was something I couldn't put my finger on. There was this, I was not settled. There's something being like, I should be working. Yeah. Because there's still more stuff to do. And granted, yes, that's true. Yeah. But I got to look at my priorities, what God's putting in front of me. I've got this great family, and I've got to be, when I'm with them, I got to be fully with them. So that was a big transition just recently. I swear, it was like one night I went to bed, this guy, and I woke up this guy.
I love it.
And I decided, I was like, you know what, this planning and this, like, look, God's giving you this business. I got Jeremy running it. My guys are great. The systems of Augusta are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to worry.
Yeah.
And I don't have to think about things 20 years down the road.
Right.
Like if I get to 100 locations, great. If I get to 2 locations, which I'm at right now, that's fine too, because I can build a life around that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I know now I rest easy knowing, like, hey, look, it's in God's hands. Whatever happens is fine. And I also used to wrestle, like, when people say, well, it's God's will. Like, there was this thing inside of me.
Yeah.
Like, well, yeah, but you're not doing your part.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
you might say that, like, no, it's not willy nilly. Like, yeah, if it's God's will, but you still got to show up and do what He wants you to.
Yes. And
so I was fighting it. So I was like, am I doing my all? Am I doing, and in order for me to do my all, I have to do my all here with me physically in the gym,
mm-hmm.
me taking care of myself, what goes in my body, and then also with the business when I'm in the business. So I have to become ultra focused, no distractions, whatever I'm doing. So anything on the outside, and then when I'm done, I'm done. So it's I don't know, it's weird, but I love it. Like I'm absolutely a different person.
That's awesome. So you now have 2 locations, and you've taken your general manager, or is your general manager now, but he was an employee who you chose from within, and he is now the general manager of your second location. So did you go and start the second location yourself and then place him, or did you groom him to go and do the whole thing himself? How is the dynamic working between the 2 companies?
Yeah, so we had one of the early locations, and I'm still kicking myself for not going to that dinner because I'd be in the circle of 10. But that's okay. We had a North Augusta presence because that was one of the things when I talked to Mike. I was like, hey, I service the CSRA, which is like it's a different state, and then there's like 6 counties. I was like, I'd like to still have that. And so it was in our territory, but it was in a different state. Because we're right on the border, North Augusta, South Carolina, and then we're Augusta, Georgia. And so we had probably about $60,000 worth of business over there recurring. And so it wasn't a true, start from scratch. And we did it. I picked somebody that I thought was the best, which was, in retrospect, we now have a competition. And we, whoever wants like the next 2 locations, people are competing for them. Much better.
Got it.
Don't ever pick anybody. Awesome. I got lucky with this one. It won't happen again. So pick Matthew. It's Jeremy's brother. So it's cut from a good cloth.
Yeah.
It's his first job ever and his only job out of high school. And this is where he's at. But yeah, he's the GM. He runs his schedule. He does his estimates. We talk. We run out of the same shop because our shop location is exit 200. We got North Augusta's exit 1. So we're right there.
Sweet.
Yep. So he runs out of the same shop, but he runs everything, the schedule, talks to the customers, does his invoicing. And we talk about growth goals as far as we do the coaching calls. We had one with Chuck on Wednesday, I think, or Thursday, I believe. But I get on the call with him. With Matthew, he was in the field working. I was in the field estimating, and we had it with Chuck. But that's the dynamic. He runs it. He just hired his first employee Monday, and so he chose to take somebody from scratch, somebody with no lawn care experience, to hone his skills because he knows he's going to need them next year because he'll have to hire a bunch of people, I'm sure. But
yes,
you'll need 2 people.
So you have the main location, then you have the one that Matt is GM of. And then how many are you planning to have? And is it all in the same area?
Yeah, so I wish. I'm sure. I get a lot. I get a lot of calls from prospective franchisees. And anytime I see an area code, I actually got a feeling like that's in one of my areas. But I want to like the numbers there. It's there. It's 100.
100. Okay.
They will never be in the same area. I'm hoping I can stay in the southeast because that's what I know. The weather and all that and but wherever God takes me is cool. But yeah, 100 locations is the goal. I had them written down.
Yeah.
But that's
but you just tore them up.
Yeah, there's no need to do that. She's from Beaufort, South Carolina. I do want one there. There's a military base there. It's a great affluent area.
Yes. Okay.
Then They got Savannah, Georgia. I like the coast because we got family there.
Okay.
But there's plenty of, not really a lot of places here. So we got the Augusta area. We've got North Augusta, South Carolina. But the next one's Aiken, which is about 20 miles away. So that's not too bad. But then it's Lexington, and then Columbia is Iuta's over there.
Okay, so you have a good trajectory. That's your 100-year goal. It's a good goal.
20.
And 20, I love it.
20
I
years.
love it. So tell me, Amber, can you share how this journey of Augusta has affected your relationship together? Has it been a positive thing? Has it been a, the heartache from hell? Like, tell us a little bit about it.
No, I think it's honestly one of the best decisions that he has ever made. Before, whenever he had fine lines, it was, as a wife from the outside, you fully want to support your husband. And that included getting out on the truck sometimes, especially when, he would work all week. I had my job, and then, he was doing lawn care on the weekends. The only way for us to even spend time together was for me to get out on that truck with him. And, so going from that, and then just seeing over the years of being together of the, kind of like we talked about earlier, him getting ahead, it's kind of like, 5 steps forward, 10 steps back,
Right.
and that was hard to see, because whenever you are with someone, you want the best for them, and, and you want them to be happy in their career. And so it was hard to see the back and forth. And I knew that, like you said, he wanted to sell that business every day, every year. And I just kept praying for him. And one day I turned to him and I said, you are literally trying to sell this business for nothing, like literally nothing. And I said, and it's not selling. I said, I think there's a reason that the Lord is keeping you on this path. I said, I feel like there's a reason that you're staying here. And so fast forward to when he, went to the conference, and he came back, and it was just this light inside of him that I saw. And he was so excited and so full of energy. And it was almost kind of like this renewed hope that he had that, hey, I'm going to make this work. We can make this work.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Jeremy has just been a godsend. Like, he's been with Bryan, for the last couple of years now. And I think that was also a good seed of hope, for me, to see he had a partner in this, that not just me supporting him, but he actually had somebody in the company that believed in him just as much as I did.
Yeah.
So I think, buying into Augusta was the best decision that he's ever made. And then to see him grow, like, not only for him to come back with this new light, but now to see him grow and where he started with the business, making $10,000 a month, if even that, to where he is now. And then, the last 2 years he's won an award for sales, and it's just, so I'm so proud of him. And, he's got these big dreams and these big goals, and he's like, we're going to do 100 locations, and it's going to be in 20 years. And of course I'm sitting back and I'm like, heck yeah, let's do it. And that's hard for me, because I'm not a big dreamer and a big doer, but I'm here for you, like whatever you need from me. So yeah, hands down, if anybody out there is listening, thinking about buying into the Augusta Lawn Care Service or buying into the franchise, we actually talked to a couple. Who was it?
They did.
They ended up buying Hunter and his wife.
Yeah.
And I know her, and I spoke at the conference, and she's like, well, what do you think? And I told her the same thing I told you. I said, it literally was the best decision that he could make. And so they did. They ended up the Tuttles. They ended up joining.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm super excited for them. I know this is going to be a new journey for them, and it's going to be a positive journey. So yeah, as a wife, as a partner, as a business owner myself, I can fully appreciate and fully get behind getting into the Augusta Lawn Care Service. Definitely the best decision he's ever made.
Awesome. So to wrap it up today, I know that Bryan, especially, he listens to a lot of good content. He puts good content out there, and he's trying to get you on board. I know
he does.
And so, Bryan, could you share some of the things you've been bringing in, what you listen to give you strength, encouragement, motivation?
Yeah. So a lot. The first book from the Augusta brand, I think it embodies everything they believe in, is Extreme Ownership with Jocko Willink. and to go with it, the dichotomy of leadership that goes hand in hand. So those books I read at least once a year now. Anytime you're high on the horse, go ahead and listen to some of that, and you'll be good. David Goggins. I mean, you can't say enough about the motivation, and then his 2 books. I think if you're going to pick one, go ahead and pick the second one because it gives he's a different David. In the second book.
Never finished, right?
Yeah, never finished. Yep. Alex Ramosi and Layla. Listened to a lot of that. And the $100 million deal. It's okay, buddy. I get it. $100 million deal was his first book that I read. I'm excited to read the second one.
Yep.
Measure of a Man. That's a little different context, but it's really good about a Holocaust survivor. That was really, really good. I'd read a lot of, and now I've forgotten what it is. There was this system that me and Jeremy tried to implement.
Yeah. I don't know what the actual
EOS.
System it is. EOS. That's what it is.
And there was a lot of books that went along with that. A lot of good nuggets, but not for maybe companies for like Augusta is kind of in that zone at the moment.
Right.
But not for what I've got going on. There's good stuff in there, but in much smaller doses.
Yeah, it's for definitely bigger vision people that have already gotten up there a little bit.
Yeah, and they need that level of organization.
Yeah, for sure. And what about a quote? Could you share with us a quote?
I'm not a big quote guy, but I knew that you were going to ask this question. So there's a couple that I'd like to read. Mainly it's David Goggins, Alex, and Jocko. So this one is from David. Don't stop when you're tired. Stop when you're done. Everyone fails sometimes, and life isn't supposed to be fair, much less bend to your every whim. You must recognize what you're about to do, highlight what you do not like about it, and spend time visualizing each and every obstacle you can.
Love that. Motivation
is crap. Motivation comes and goes when you're driven. Whatever in front of you will get destroyed. So that was a big one. That's like kind of goes hand in hand with one of the next ones as far as discipline trumps motivation every single day.
Yeah.
And then Alex Ramosi, like he is pretty awesome. This is one that I had in my head, and then I heard him say it, and I think he got some of it from Dave Ramsey too. But it says, I'm going to be an entrepreneur so I can be free to do whatever I want, whenever I want, and with whomever I want. So that's
beautiful.
That's what to me, as far as the freedom of what I've always been after. Money is like people gets a bad rap, but it's a tool.
It is.
It's a tool you can use to get back time and to give time.
Yeah.
So I'm not into flashy cars. I appreciate them, but I would never. I don't think I'd ever buy one. I like, me and my wife, we don't buy each other presents. We go experiences. So I do. There's minimalists like Mike. That's extreme. I like nice things. I like treating my wife to nice things, like going to Europe or I love trips, and I like staying in nice places. So, but mainly money to be used to do good and to give back time. That's why I'm doing this.
And how about you, Amber? Do you have quotes that you read or that inspire you?
Yeah. So some of the same ones that he has, I really like. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, any quotes that I've seen lately. I don't know if I know of any off the top of my head.
She has a lot on her Instagram.
I do. Yeah. A lot on my Instagram. That's kind of my inspirational board.
Yeah. That's good.
That I try to share a lot just as a mom, as a business owner. For me, family is everything. Family comes first. And when you're in business, the balance is hard sometimes, trying to find, the balance of being a good wife, being a good mom, but also being a good business owner and trying to juggle all of those things. And so a lot of the inspiration I share on my Instagram is just, you don't have to be, you're not always going to be 100% at everything.
Right.
We're going to try our best, but even if you're only getting 30 minutes in the gym, going is better than nothing. Taking a walk is better than nothing. Being there for your family, being there for your business. it's the balance is hard. And I think sometimes as a mom and as as a female entrepreneur, in the field, it's, as we have all these things going on in our head and we're trying to figure out the best way to multitask and handle all of those at one time. So, just keep going.
I would love to have you back sometime and hear your whole side and the business side. But to wrap up today, is there something that you would want to share with the listeners and that you think Bryan would want to share, to have a platform and to say something that would just encourage other business owners as we wrap up today?
Yeah. Business is hard. It's not easy. It's not for the weak hearted by any means. It's going to challenge you. It's going to change you. It's going to push you to new limits that you didn't even know you had. But don't give up. Don't ever give up. Not every day is going to be easy, but just keep going, keep pushing. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. And, I know when I first started the bakery business, and I opened up that storefront, I had a 4-month-old and I was not sleeping through the night and I was running this business. I had no idea what I was doing. And there were days I would work 12 and 13-hour days. And then at the end of the day, sit on that bakery floor and just in tears. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know if I can do this. But the more you get up every day and with purpose and intent and do the best you can each and every day. Some people are big dreamers like Bryan and he needs to look at the future. For me to get through and to focus, I need to focus on what's ahead of me each and every single day. So, as a mom, I feel like, sometimes, at some point during the day, I'm like, I failed at something today. But, but get back up tomorrow and try again and just keep going and don't ever give up. Because I feel like the people who are successful in business and successful being an entrepreneur are the hard workers and ones who never gave up. And it's not always going to be easy. And you just have to keep going. So that would be the one piece of advice that I feel like I would give to somebody out there who's just beginning or who maybe feels discouraged at times or feel like they don't know if they're going in the right direction. Seek out help. Ask people. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Ask for help for people in your field. Augusta Nation's great about that. You guys have so many different resources that people can turn to. So definitely to use that, utilize those tools to make you better.
So Bryan, we're just wrapping up now. And I was asking her if she could just share some encouragement, and it's a platform where you could just say, what was on your heart to encourage other small business owners? Have at it.
Yeah. So coming from a period of when I felt like I was failing a lot, as far as specifically in the lawn care industry, there is now somebody that you can plug into, a lot of free content. And, I don't get paid by Mike. There's nothing, but I absolutely love that man. He saved my life. He put us in a place where we can build a future. And, I feel confident. I would say if you're specifically in lawn care, go and you're just starting out, go check out Landscape Business Course. That will give you a lot to check out. But in business in general, I would say you're not going to find it on your own. You might get to a certain level of success depending on what your strengths are. In business, there's different things. You got to have sales. You're not going to have anything. And at the beginning, you better work hard. But those are the two things that I had. It would have got me to a certain level. But all the other stuff you have to go get. Nobody's going to give it to you. But the good news is it's out there. Whatever platform, whether it be Audible, YouTube, whether you got a physical book or go find somebody that's doing it is probably the best thing. But most people that are doing it now also have those platforms that you can check out and watch them do it.
So you have a show yourself. You have a YouTube channel. And what do you use that for mainly?
Mainly for the franchisees onboarding. Franchisees, I think, are the main ones that are the reason why I'm doing it. And other people that are, at a smaller level of lawn care business as well. anybody that's starting a lawn care business, or it's just them in a truck or them and a couple employees. That's why I do it. But the main reason is for the franchisees. Anything that, yeah.
And what is your channel for people to be able to find that?
That is a good question.
That's how I found you, as I had to search you on YouTube.
I think it's just my name. I think. Let me see if I can find it. If it'll show you on the. I had to delete YouTube recently to eliminate distractions.
Yes.
I wish they never had the shorts. If they didn't have the shorts, it wouldn't distract me.
If they didn't have the shorts, the squirrel would be okay.
Yeah, I'd be okay with it. I had to delete Facebook, all that. It's just Bryan Connor, I think.
Yeah, and people, Bryan is Bryan, Connor is Connor, right?
That's it.
Yeah. Okay. So that's how you find him, is you just search the man out. And then how about you, Amber? What's your business for people to be able to look it up?
Yeah, so it's called Sinless Sweets Bakery, and we are here in Augusta, Georgia. I think there's like one or two. I didn't even know this until somebody from like Wichita, Kansas called me for an order that I had no idea about. And she was like, "Is this Sinless Sweets?" And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "In Wichita, Kansas?" I was like, "There's more than one Sinless Sweets." So there is, apparently, but it's SINLESS and then Sweets SWEETS, and we are in Evans, Georgia. And
Excellent.
We ship now, so we are now shipping nationwide. We've actually shipped to Washington like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, you
so
have.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, so you can, and we have a website, www.sinless-sweet.com.
Excellent. Excellent. So I'll let you guys go. I know that your time is precious, and I thank you for taking that time away. You have your little boys and they need you. And you have your dog who was sick right before.
And so, house full.
Yes, this is real life, people. And so Augustans are real life liver people, and we care about our families and others. So thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it. I know it'll help a lot of people.
Well, thank you so much for having us.
All right. You guys have a wonderful day.
All right, you too.
Thank you.